my mental phase of the long walk, that started heavily just before I reached Paris. Because of course I've been a very defiant guy in my life, very sort of didn't like authority and all these things. And when I saw, because I've been my life has been about moving, traveling, and seeing new places and so on, and seeing the potential of restricted movement was detrimental to basically my life. So that became part of sort of my, yeah, my what do you say, my sadness, or my, when I looked ahead, with like my part of the mental phase or the depression I sort of began to develop. Um, but first I had to arrive in Paris because I needed new shoes. So I got these new shoes, and I was very focused on getting Gore-Tex shoes so that the rain would stay out of my yeah, away from my feet. And they didn't have the model I've been wearing or been using for years. And so I bought these Gore-Tex shoes with, a more thick layer or a thick shell. And already walking around Paris a bit, because I took 3 days off there. I already felt like these are different. These are a little bit shaky. And it wouldn't take many hours of walking the first day I walked out of Paris to realize that these shoes really suck. I mean, these are just not for me, and they are just not. It's almost like I had, yeah, these do not fit. They don't feel comfortable at all. It just feel like they're scraping up against my feet, and um, it took me 3 days before and it just got slowly worse. The pain in my feet. And then on day 79, which is the climax day of this entire experience and maybe my life in terms of pain and so on, I walked out of this campsite in the morning and walked 8 kilometers into this town, which in French probably is pronounced differently, but in English it could be pronounced Angerville. So if you say,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Angaville, or I'm not sure how I would pronounce it in French, but it's literally like Angerville, and it just set the stage for the day.
How perfect, right?
Yeah, and I walked into town to the baker and to got some extra food to put in my backpack for the night. And then I sat to eat this close to a kindergarten. And well, the reason why I'm saying that is because I was going to look for places to stay. I looked for a campsite. There was a campsite option 17 kilometers away. And then there was a hotel 32 kilometers away. I didn't want to use the campsite because I had an inflatable mattress that was not working anymore. So I was sort of falling down on the ground every time I was using it.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the hotel. I've done longer walks than this today, so let's go. But as soon as I booked that hotel, it was like I had a cold snake just descending down around my spine, kind of giving me a future déjà vu of saying, Gideon, you made a really, I mean, something terrible is gonna gonna unfold here. Of course, shook that off a bit, because you don't know what the future brings. But that was a
Right.
very interesting moment, especially when there was kids innocently playing around, and I was just sitting there like, yeah, seeing the wor or feeling worst maybe. So I started to walk, and after just a few hundred meters, I was looking at the app. Oh, there's 37 kilometers. There's 30. There's not just 32. There's five more than what it said. And I was already struggling. It was a hot day, very hot, and I
Wow.
began to lose my way, not just a few kilometers away, and I just began to really go berserk. I got so furious. Um, it was really like yeah, I was a madman. I was really psychotic at the time. I was just threw on my sticks, my walking sticks. I yelled. I just completely lost it. Completely lost it. Like I yelled so much, my my throat turned raw.
And were
Uh,
there people around or you're just in the middle of
oh,
nowhere?
pretty much alone.
Okay.
And then continued walking, but still feeling like this is, I mean, everything was burning. I mean, the skin was just peeling off and it just was hot and cooking. The shoes were just feeling like I was walking on thorns with sandpaper
Oh,
inside of them. And I walked into this first main town where there was a supermarket, and I had only walked like 7 kilometers, you know, and out of the 37 or whatever, however much there was left. And got a couple of drinks and whatever, and then I continued, and I was walking by this train rail straight ahead, so I didn't have to use my phone to see the map anymore. I could just go kind of follow the train rail, which sometimes just came flying by, and I was just walking there slower and slower in more and more pain. Like my whole body was cooking of pain.
Oh,
I walked slower and slower. Usually I walk like maybe 5+ kilometers an hour, and I went down to like 1 or 2. I was not walking anymore. I was humping. I couldn't even walk. I was sometimes leaning on my walking sticks to just alleviate the pain on my
oh,
off my
like
feet
crutches.
for walking.
Yeah.
And it just got worse and worse, and felt enslaved to pain. Felt enslaved to that. There's only pain here. Um, but what was interesting was that first of all, I began to really connect with why I have been so angry throughout my life, because I have been, and the pain began to really show me, Gideon, you have been so angry, and this is why you keep being resistant towards whatever's happening to you, and that continued, and it began to continue to dissect through the pain why I had gone to the way to where I had been in my life in terms of resisting my parents, my grandparents, and so on, because to some level, energetically, I probably have felt abandoned by my grandparents, my dad's side of the family, because they were very religious in a very rigid sort of right and wrong kind of way, and they never really gave me affection, like just true, authentic love. It was always about being right and wrong, and doing and thinking and being the way they wanted me to be, instead of just appreciating me for being who I am, and walking my own path. So there was so much resistance in me for that reason. And the more pain I got into, the closer I got to the answer of letting that go, I think, to some degree. And when we talk about taking a step at a time, I got into so much pain that I had to just focus on one step at a time, one step at a time, literally, to just be able to keep going. And one time I just started running just to shift things up, just for 100 meters or 200 meters, just to shift things up, and
Wow.
started coaching myself. You can do this, you can do this, and really to the very fundamental thing of what I was there to do, which was to lean on myself. And that was a sentence my brother had talked to me about the night before I left. You need to be strong enough to lean on yourself without needing anybody else or anything else. And that was when I began to do it, to really lean on myself, that really I can do what I need to do if I take the steps in this crazy amount of burning pain. And to the degree that I honestly doubted if I could finish the day. I mean, it was so bad. And but I continued, and within 2 to 3 kilometers left, I all of a sudden experienced being in this bubble of grace. That's how I describe it in the book. That I was all of a sudden I was in this space where I did not resist any longer. I was feeling the pain, I was feeling it, but I was not resisting it. It was just kind of a surrendering kind of experience where I all of a sudden I smiled. I
Wow.
smiled all of a sudden, and that would have been impossible 10 kilometers ago, I
Wow.
just smiled and was just in this space of presence, grace, whatever, feeling the burning of all the stuff I was going through, but not just that day, maybe my whole life, where I was sort of like, okay, I don't need to resist any longer. I don't need to fight people. I don't need to fight my family. I don't need to fight and resist these things I have for so long. And that planted seeds, and when I finished the day and sat on the end of the bed, it was just very clear that something significant had happened here. And finally was able to sort of let go of all this, yeah,
Wow.
shit that was going on inside of me that I felt I was not in control of, but maybe didn't have to be in control of, could just let go of, right?